everybody, this is Valerie Greenwell with Quilt Artistry. It is the beginning of November and I've got Christmas on the brain. Since moving into our new house this year, I really wanted to make a new Christmas tree skirt to match our new decor. Just My Luck Sweet Dreams has provided us with a new tree skirt in this month's Crown Jewel Club. In looking over this pattern, the neat thing about it is that not only is it a tree skirt pattern, if you don't have a desire to make a tree skirt, you can make a fun table topper for your table. The default size of this pattern, it makes about a 36-inch Christmas tree skirt or table topper. If you need it to be a little bit larger or a little bit smaller, you can scale it up or scale it down as needed. We'll talk about that in a little bit when I'm setting it up on the screen. Anyway, let me get the supplies together, and we'll come back and talk about what you need to make this project. Okay, let's talk about the supplies that we need for this project. As always, I recommend printing off the PDF instructions that are provided for this project. It will help you if you go through and you read through the instructions first so that you know ahead of time what to anticipate with this project. My tree skirt, I want it to be just the default size, which is about 36 inches. So I have a little over a yard of my top fabric, probably a yard and a half for the backing fabric, and then, of course, threads of your choice. I am going with the sort of teal blue and silver threads, so I'm hoping that looks really good. For the backing fabric, I'm just using a solid white for mine. That's going to go really well. Of course, we shouldn't really see the backing fabric too much, but my Christmas tree is white and blue, so I think that this is going to go very nice. As far as batting goes, I really recommend using a lightweight batting because that's going to help mitigate shrinkage when you're working on this project. The particular batting that I'm using is Quilter's Dream Poly Select. It is kind of a mid-weight poly batting. It's not going to have a lot of shrink when you wash it, if it needs to be washed, but it'll help give it some good body for the quilting. So that's what I'm using. Now, with these instructions, we can see here, this is about what half of the pattern is going to look like. So with that, let me get everything set up on the long arm, and we'll come back and we'll talk about the setup and what you need to do to get everything all lined up on the screen. Okay, so I'm back. I have all of my fabric loaded. Backing fabric on the back, batting in the middle, tree skirt or table topper fabric on top. I am using the Gamble quilt clips to help hold things down in the front, and I have my patterns on screen. So when you see these patterns, you're going to see you have the tree skirt or table topper half, and then you have two inserts to go in the middle, depending on whether or not you plan on making the tree skirt or the table topper. The one that is filled in the middle, of course, is the table topper, and then the other one is just the regular for the tree skirt. So I'm planning on making the tree skirt, so I'm going to go ahead and delete this extra pattern here. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to make a copy of this, and you're going to flip it upside down, and then we're going to take it over and line it up with the pattern on top. And at this point, it doesn't have to be exact because before you stitch the bottom half, you're going to have to make some little micro adjustments anyway. But this is just going to give you a general idea of the size and location. So now I'm going to bring my centerpiece over and put it right in the middle. This should line up with where the bottom of this other pattern is. This center here should line up with the bottom of this. So I'm going to pick that up and kind of nudge it up just a little tiny bit. And I think for what I'm doing right now, that looks pretty good. Now, if you need to scale this up or down, you're going to want to scale this as a whole. So if you're going to make it larger or smaller, you're going to select everything on screen and scale all three pieces at once. This is going to help maintain that aspect ratio so that nothing gets distorted. And if you are going to adjust the size, you are going to want to make sure that this right here is turned on. This is aspect ratio is locked and turned on. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is baste your fabric down, especially if you're using, you know, some of this, this is like a satiny kind of fabric. It's very slick. It kind of slides around a lot. You're going to want to make sure that this doesn't move at all. So go ahead and baste that down all the way around. And then we're going to come in and create a boundary. Let me see here. We're going to make a boundary just like you would. I am my own camera person today, so I'm trying to do all of this one-handed. So anyway, we're just going to go ahead and mark out our fabric right where we want it. Got to watch out for those clamps there on the side. Okay, now with that boundary marked out, I'm going to pick up my pattern and put it over here. I'm just going to kind of center it in here a little bit. I want to make sure that I can get everything in here. Now, it's at this point where I think that if you're going to scale it up or down, this is probably the time to do that. You can see how much throat space you have, how much fabric you have to work with, and if you want to make it a little bit larger, you probably can. So let's see here. Okay, so I think I'm going to enlarge mine to 40 inches and go with that because I've got a little bit of extra space here and I know I can fit it in on my machine. So yes, you can see I've got the lock aspect ratio on. I entered 40 into the width and that automatically adjusted the height as well, and that is what we want. Okay, so now we're almost ready to stitch. So we're going to highlight everything that falls outside of our boundary, and I'm going to toggle that sewn. Now I'm going to select everything on screen because for this project, you really want to have a stitch length of about somewhere between 14 and 16. So I'm going to go into project properties. I'm going to open this up. I'm going to change my stitches per inch to, I'm going to say 14. And speed of 12 is good for this. I really don't want to go too fast. It's a lot of detail, and I want to make sure that all, everything stitches well. So speed of 12, stitches per inch 14. You can probably boost that up to 16 if you like the look of that much smaller stitch length. But 14 to 16, either one is pretty good. So now we're going to click Save and Close. And I'm going to go ahead and click on my pattern properties here because I put these patterns on the screen before I changed my project properties. So I'm going to go ahead and change this SPI here. I'm going to change that to a 14. And again, the speed of 12 is good. So I'm going to go ahead and click Save and Close. Now, we have the top half is ready to stitch, and right now I have all of my options showing, so you can see we're going to have quite a few tie-offs in this, and so you just keep that in mind as it's going. This does not stitch as one solid pattern. You're going to have a few tie-offs, and that's okay, not a big deal. Okay, so now I've got everything set up here. I'm going to go ahead and stitch this out, and I'll be back. Okay, so we're all finished. I have everything completely stitched, and I have I trimmed my threads as I went. Some people might drag threads. I don't know. I trim them. But I left a little thread tail on this one so I can see where my last stitch was. Don't know if I'll need that or not, but I wanted to know where it was. So now that we've got this half finished, it is time to roll the quilt forward. And so what we want to do, we're going to roll this as far forward as we can, but we want to make sure that we can see these points here, so that we have enough room that we can get everything lined up on both sides, here and again over here. So, and this is one of those patterns where, everything has to line up really nice because, we've got these little connectors here. So that's what we're going to do next. Let me get all my clips and my clamps off and get it rolled, and then I'll show you guys how I connect the patterns after the roll. Okay, so I'm back. I have rolled my quilt and used the relocate shift all to 2 points option. And the 2 points that I've used are right at the edge of the stitching there. So I put a pin there to mark that one. And then again here on this one. So I've relocated to those points. Now, we're going to want to take a measurement from where this pin head is here to the one on the other side. That way we can get an accurate measurement of what that top pattern measures after stitching, because everything shrinks just a little bit. Okay, so we're going to come over here, and I'm going to select my measuring tape tool, and I'm going to click here with that one, and then again right there. Okay, now let's take a look on the screen here, and I can see that my measurement is ever so slightly smaller. It looks like I lost about maybe a little less than ½ an inch or so. Okay, so you're going to select this right here, select inside there, and do copy. Okay, now we're going to say cancel out of that. Now you can select this pattern here and place your number in here and paste it in and hit enter, and that's going to change that to that size that we just entered. Okay, now I want to make sure that everything lined up correctly. So what I'm going to do is bring the head of the machine back over here to this point. And I've got it lined up right on the head of that pin. Right there. Now, don't bother looking at the top pattern because it may not look exactly right on screen, but I can see that this is where my crosshairs are, and this is the pattern that we need to stitch. So I know I need to nudge that over just a little tiny bit. Again, I don't know if I can do that one-handed here. Let's see here. Let's see if I can get that over there. I'm using the micro nudge, which is the Alt and the arrow key. Oh yeah, see, now that looks perfect. Okay, now I can go to the other side and move this over here to this side. I just want to see if it's going to line up. And I've got it very close to that pin. Very nice. Okay, now let's come back over here to the screen and take a look again. Let me zoom out so I can see what I'm looking at. And there we go. I am right on the edge there. It's maybe off just a little tiny bit. I might do a little bit of adjustment on that. But overall, I think it looks pretty good. I'm going to zoom out, and I am ready to stitch this bottom half. So now we're going to do just like we did on the top. We're going to let this stitch, and then we'll come back. Okay, so it is finished stitching the bottom pass, and I'm looking at the connections there. They are pretty close enough that I'm happy with it. And let's see over here. Kind of have the same thing, not bad at all. I think I can live with that. Okay, so now that this is all stitched, now we're going to roll it backwards so that I have this empty circle all in the stitchable throat space, and then we'll be able to put our centerpiece in there, and then we'll be finished, at least with the quilting, anyway. Okay, so now I'm looking at the screen here. I have my new inner boundary made. Just to eliminate confusion, I don't know if this is the right way or the wrong way, but I'm going to move this completely out of the way just because it's confusing. I'm going to leave it on the screen, but I am going to toggle it sewn, just so that I can get a clearer picture of where this is going to go on the screen. So now I can look and see I have my border, or not my border, but my boundary created here. I want to nudge this over into a position, and you can see I have little tabs marked down here and here. And so I think what I'm going to do is move the head of the machine so that it gets right smack in the center here. That should make it a little bit easier to line up. So let me get that over here. Okay, that looks good. That is probably as close as I'm going to be able to get. Let's take a look on the screen here. Okay. Sorry, I'm doing all of this camera stuff myself today. Okay, so now what I'm going to try to do is move these patterns so that this is in the center of the crosshair. And that is pretty darn close. But I can see that I'm a little bit off here. Like my stitching is right on the center here, and then here I've got a little bit more. So I'm going to do a little bit of pattern manipulation in order to even this out a little bit. Because I actually want this to stitch, like, I want there to be like a 1/4 inch gap all the way around. So this just stitches in the center. Okay, so my measurements were a little bit off from top to bottom, which meant that it wasn't going to fit in there. And again, I don't know if this is the right or the wrong way, but this is how I am going to address that issue. I have used the purple handlebars to adjust my circle, to adjust my centerpiece, so that it is sitting right on that boundary that I created. And I adjusted it left to right and up and down, okay? So now the outside circle here is sitting right on, it's sitting right on the boundary, if you can see that. So now I'm going to change over to the purple handlebars, or the universal handlebars. And let me zoom in here a little bit. Now I'm going to grab the corner of the orange, and I want to bring that in just a little bit. I want to be able to bring that in from the corner so that it adjusts everything evenly all at once. And I know I want at least a 1/4 inch of space around. That might be just a little bit too much. That looks pretty good right there. So now I can look at where my boundary is. I can look at where my boundary is and where the pattern is. And that looks to be about a 1/4 inch to the inside. I'm going to go with that. That's it. I'm going to let the machine stitch, and we'll see how it looks. Perfect. That placement worked out really well. I have very good even spacing around this. I'm very happy with the way that turned out. Okay, so now that all of the stitching is done, all we have to do is take it off the frame and get it trimmed up. So let me get everything unloaded, and then I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. I have my tree skirt off of the frame, and the only thing left to do is to trim it and bind it. So what you're going to do is you're going to trim around the outside edge, 1/4 inch away from the stitched line, and you're going to do that around the entire outside edge. Now, if you're making a tablecloth, that's the only thing you're going to trim is the outside edge. Now, if you're doing a tree skirt, you've got a couple other things that you have to trim. So what you're going to do is you're going to find that spot where you connected the top and the bottom two patterns. And I can see mine is here because I can see the lines kind of overlap just a little tiny bit. Okay, so what you'll do is you line your ruler up right along the line of where all of your patterns connected, and then you're just going to cut from the outside in, and when you get to this inside here, you're going to trim 1/4 inch to the inside of your inner circle, all the way around. And then with that, you can either bind it with a traditional, say like a bias binding, or you can use a backing fabric and stitch that to the outside, and then turn it inside out, and then slit stitch that opening closed, and then put either a couple satin ties or some Velcro along that edge where you can put it around the tree skirt and keep it close. So after that, that's it. So let me get mine trimmed up and get the binding on it, and then I'll bring it back and show you what it looks like completed. Okay, I'm back. I have finished my tree skirt. I ended up going with a binding instead of a backing fabric because I didn't want to have to cover up all those pretty stitches on the back. So I cut a slim 2-inch bias binding to go around the edge of this tree skirt, and it worked really nice. The inside of this, I forgot to mention, make sure that you clip the inside of your curve before you put your binding on. It's going to make it go on a lot smoother. Then I ended up using Velcro for my closures. You can do ties or buttons if you wanted to, but I like the Velcro because it's just kind of hidden. Just to let you know what fabrics I use to do mine, this is a heavy, like a dressmaker satin. It's much heavier than some of the, it's not costume satin. This is a dressmaker satin, so it has a good weight to it. A heavier weight makes it very easy to work with. And then on the back side, I used a solid white sateen. I used, for mine, I used silver thread. I used Silver Glide and Silver Omni. This is, I don't know if you can tell, I used 2 threads on the top to give it a heavier, more defined look because I really wanted these stitches to show up. Overall, it went pretty quick. Not bad for a day-long project. I really enjoyed this one. So anyway, this is the 2023 tree skirt or tablecloth pattern from Sweet Dreams Quilt Studio. Anyway, so that's all I've got for today. And if you guys, if you have any questions about how I did anything, feel free to post your questions or comments and let me know. So anyway, enjoy.